Happy Memorial Day. This is your Mining Disrupt News Surge for Monday, May 26th, 2025. Let's get the housekeeping stuff out of the way real quick. As always, this is where you come for entertainment and education. I am not the guy to give you financial advice. Please, also, be sure you like, subscribe, and comment down below if you enjoy what I'm doing here. And finally, scan this QR code or hit that link in the description down below to get your tickets to the Mining Disrupt Expo, the second one this year, this time in Texas, the heart of Bitcoin mining in the United States. And boy, oh boy, do we have some big news coming out of Texas here real soon. It sure seems like it. I'm going to be breaking that down here in a second. But first, let's jump over to the numbers. We are looking at a price of, look at this, $109,362. You now get less than 1,000 sats per dollar. But the number that I always like to draw your attention to, right down here, the public nodes, 22,000. Do you remember not that long ago when it was in the teens? We're over 22,000. This is really, really good. Priority, anytime fees, low, unconfirmed transactions, things are looking about as healthy as they possibly could. If you've been in Bitcoin for a while, there's a really good chance that you've talked to somebody that isn't into Bitcoin. And the reason they're not into Bitcoin could be any number of about 1,000 different things. I've tried to boil down what exactly are the most important things, or what is the singular most important thing about Bitcoin, and I can't get it down to one thing. I think that there are two important things, and I'm not going to list these in order of importance. I just think they're both right there at the top. One of them is the supply cap. If that supply cap was not in place and Bitcoin could be inflated, that would be a really big problem, and it would kind of undermine the whole thing. But it also needs the second point, which is the proof of work. If there were no restrictions, if there was no tie to reality, then what would the point of Bitcoin be? It would just be, oh, we type in numbers and there it is, and there we're at the 21 million. No, there is an actual tie to physical reality. Now, why is it that we have posts like this from Dennis Porter where he says, this is huge. 80% of Americans want to diversify US gold reserves into Bitcoin, when people don't really understand all that much about Bitcoin. I was just talking to somebody that has, well, let's just say he's a little bit more wealthy than I am. And I know that he has some Bitcoin. I don't know how much he has. It's none of my business. But I asked him, I said, what was it that got you into Bitcoin? Did you read a book or did you watch a podcast? What was it? Why? And he just said, well, it's the number. It's the price. That's ultimately what it boiled down to. He said he got back in when it was around that $6,000 range. He sold when it was in the $20,000 range, and he was happy. He's like, sweet, I made 14 grand. That's pretty good. But then he saw it go from 20 into the 50s and then up to nearly 70 and then drop back down. He's like, whoa. I've seen this happen before. It's probably going to go up again. So he got back in and now it's over $100,000 and he's pretty happy about that. Now, I don't know if he's going to get back out and come back in. I have no idea. Who knows? It's none of my business. The point is, the number one driver of adoption is number go up. And you might wonder, what does that number one driver, number go up, have to do with something like this? This is from Jason Sichel, or I'm trying to pronounce that name correctly. Sichel? Snailiel? That's probably right. 2025, you still can't connect a Bitcoin wallet to a Bitcoin full node without complex middleware. But yet, people fight over op return limits, or bits versus sats, just STFU and build. The connection between that tweet and what I was just talking about is, ultimately, there's a lot of noise in this space. There's a lot of noise, and it's hard for people to focus on what really matters. But when they see the price go up, that kind of solves the problem for them. They see that, they see CNN talking about it, they see MSNBC, they see it on the front page of their newspaper, they see things like this happening. TFTC 21 saying, commercial real estate in free fall. I imagine you've seen stories like this before. This one right here, a Denver office once worth $200 million just sold for $3.2 million. People are starting to realize there are places to store your time and energy, and big buildings is one of those, but it might not be a good one of those places. Here's Alex Gladstein saying, we've already crossed the Rubicon. Most people just don't realize it. And he's retweeting this from River, which says America's story began with sound money. Hard-working Americans saved their wealth in gold-backed money. They could also have said hard-working Americans transmuted their time and energy into a good sound money, good and sound for the time. Today, Bitcoin carries that torch forward. Indeed, it does. And here we see roughly 37 million Americans own gold, and roughly 50 million Americans own Bitcoin. And do you think that number is going to flip, or do you think it's just going to grow? Do you think that disparity, the Bitcoin blue bar, is going to go higher, or do you think it's going to go lower? Do you think people are going to start to go, hey, you know what? I don't want my cell phone anymore. I don't want to interact with the digital world. AI, VR, cell phones, electric cars. Nah, let's just walk away from all of that. Sure, some people will, but the vast majority of people, the people that are growing up in a world where those things are staples of their lives, do you think they're just going to turn away from that? Again, some, yes, but the majority, I don't think so. And this brings me to that news coming out of Texas. Here's Greg Abbott, and while he hasn't, as of my recording, signed it yet, he's reposting this that says Texas moves to establish strategic Bitcoin reserve. Here it is. This is Greg Abbott of Texas saying, Texas is just posting that very thing. And here's bot the top says, did you send it yet? Until then, don't post about it. Well, if he's posting about it, it seems okay. I'm not a betting man typically, but it seems pretty good at this point. And Texas, in case you didn't know, has a massive economy, a GSP, gross state product, of $2.7 trillion. Less than California, sure, but that still, if Texas were a country, would be ranked 8th largest economy in the world. This is why getting yourself to the Mining Disrupt Expo in Texas, happening this year, November 11th, right there. Scan that QR code right in front of this cowboy hat, or hit that link below. That's why it's so important to get there to talk about these things, because you can get into the mining game. You can get on the ground floor of Bitcoin mining, all the way at the super small scale level of a BitAxe for $150-ish, all the way up to the massive industrial scale. And there's really no limit to that. You could spend billions of dollars if you wanted to. And that's why learning about Bitcoin mining is so important. Getting connected to the ground floor of Bitcoin is maybe one of the best things you can do to educate yourself about Bitcoin. Until next week.